Okay, hey you guys, it is me, Donovan Sadiq, the Inland Empire Informer, and we are here in South Africa. Now, a little bit later on, we're going to be interviewing a young lady that we met downstairs who is a R&B artist here in South Africa, and she was hawking her wares and her CDs and getting her hustle on. And she actually comes from the same town as Nelson Mandela, so she says. And she's she's going to help us out here and kind of help us answer some questions on what has been going on with this so-called xenophobia. Now, I have been canvassing the area and stuff, and there are some shops that have been broken into and windows broken and busted, and there has factually been people killed not far from here due to the xenophobia that happens. And it's kind of ridiculous because, the focus needs to be on the land reparation thing that they have here and the redistribution of the land from the minority whites to the majority blacks. Like I said, if you were here, we went walking this morning, and it was fairly eye-opening how a set of people are just jammed in an area to survive. And everybody here in Johannesburg, it seems, works for somebody else. They don't necessarily own the place that they're doing. Don't get me wrong, there are some blacks that are doing well, just like in America. And I've said this on my show several times, that you just can't take a few blacks and say, see, they're doing well. You got a few $1 million athletes, a few $1 million entertainers, $1 million politicians. And you say, see, the black people are doing well. You got to look at the majority as a whole. And just like us, they are in pretty much the same boat. But the difference between us and them is they have a government that looks like them, whereas we don't. We don't control anything as far as the laws and how the government runs. That is still predominantly Caucasian. So, these people over here, these are people, their own people screwing them over, and nothing's being done. Everybody's buying into the game. The corruption or whatever you want to call it, they're buying into. They didn't sell out, they're buying in. So you have these people that were freedom fighters and bush fighters for liberation of South Africa, ANC, fighters, Nelson Mandela type people that have now gotten with the system and, made a payoff for themselves and their families to make sure that they're well off, but they left the majority of them behind. So she was pretty much telling me, what she thinks is going on. And, the jobs are so scarce here that, she says that her personally, she cannot do prostitution, but she says a lot of young girls, that's the options, the only really options that they have, because there are not enough jobs here for them. And now, in my opinion, they've created this xenophobia thing to take focus off of land reparation and reclamation. So we're going to talk to her in a little bit. Demetra is going to come down and interview this young lady, and I hope you guys can really enjoy the interview. Like I said, we did come here to find out what is really going on, and we are in ground zero of what is actually happening here. So stay tuned. We're going to do the podcast in a little bit. So I just want to give you guys a heads up. I'm Donovan Sadiq, the Inland Empire Informer. You've just now been informed.